All right, here we go. Shalom, shalom, peace. Welcome to another episode of Feed the Lions. This is your brother Martha. I acquire first name. IQ is all the same. This edition, in which we'll be having future editions with this titling, known as the Blade Runner edition, is a concept that's based around the Bible being used as a blade, and we're going to run through some of the Christian dogma and doctrines that come against the Hebrew Israelite community and our understanding of the scriptures, mainly used by Christian apologists, the Christian faithful. So there'll be various topics that we discuss and deal with. And it's not meant to have complete breakdowns on particular titles, but just to give some quick hitters to try to give understanding and stay in defense of the gospel. All right. So, yes, inspired by the movie. I always like the name. But yeah, Feed the Lions, Blade Runner edition. This edition, we're going to be tackling Colossians, the second chapter, verses 13 and down to 17. And we'll get to it right away. All right. These videos aren't intended to be long, so don't expect, like, again, full breakdowns and whatnot. Uh, but nonetheless, expect some edification. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start off with Colossians 2. We're going to read the verse first, and then we're going to dissect it with some precepts. Okay, starting at verse 13. It says, "And you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, hath he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross." Now, why is this important? Because many of the apologists of the Christian community, Catholic community, religious, faithful community will say that the laws were the handwritten ordinances given to us by Moses that was against us. We were unable to keep the law. We're in the flesh. Nobody can keep it. Nobody's perfect. We need to have the blood of Jesus spread on us, so forth and so on, right? So they're saying that the laws were being blotted out against us and were taken out the way as it was nailed to the cross when Christ died. So Christ took the laws with him and died. Verse 14, "And having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days." They love that. Oh, yeah. Don't talk about what I'm eating. I can eat the catfish. I can eat the shrimp, crab, lobster, oysters. I can eat all the swine that I want. Don't talk about my baby back ribs. You can't judge me. A holy day, the Sabbath is every day. Oh, we don't need to keep the Sabbath. It doesn't matter what day it is. You can't judge me over that. New moon, never heard of it. Why should I even be worried about it? The law is done away with. You understand that this is the arguments that they will bring up, and or in holy day, they don't have to keep any holy day. So, what they deem as holy, hey, if I want to celebrate Easter, I want to celebrate Christmas, July the 4th, New Year's, Halloween, whatever, they're going to celebrate it because you shouldn't be judging anybody on these particular days. Now, mind you, none of those days is in the scriptures. Right. But they'll still try to utilize these things in some scenarios. Verse 17, "which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is Christ," or Hamashiach. All right. So let's jump up and let's get to some precepts. I'm opening up another Bible app because, like I said, this is meant to be a blade running session. We're trying to run through these things real quick. Right. So let's look at verse 13. Verse 13, one more time. "And you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh hath he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses." Let's look at Acts 13. We're going to read 38 and 30 minutes. Now it says, "Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins, and by him all that believe are justified from all things from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses. Beware, therefore, lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets." Now, what are they talking about? What was Christ's obligation? What did he take away? He took away the law of sacrifice for sin. Okay. The sins of sacrifice is what was taken away. Why? That's how we become more justified, through his blood, not through the sacrifices of blood, lambs, bulls, goats, this, that, and the third, right? But notice here, this is why I bring this up, because the next verse, in verse 14, is really what I'm precepting us with. So, giving you a heads up, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which is contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. So, going back to verse chapter 13 and verse 38, it says, "Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins, and by him all that believe are justified from all things from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses." Why is that relevant? Because by the law of Moses, if you committed adultery, you'd be get put to death. If you was a homosexual, you're getting put to death. If you was a rebellious child in your household would not receive correction, you would be brought out before the elders and stoned. Um, if Let's see what else we got. We know that there's plenty of sins unto death. If the law of Moses was in full flare, full effect, Israel at that time and now would have no chance of making it. You broke the Sabbath, you was getting put to death. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the things that those laws could not justify us. All praise to the Most High through Hamashiach Yahweh that this was available to us. Otherwise, we'd be finished. The laws of Moses couldn't justify us because we'd be penalized under the sins worthy of death, right? Let's go to Isaiah 43. Isaiah 43. And we're going to read verse 25. It says, "I, even I, am he that blotteth out thy transgressions for mine own sake, and will not remember thy sins." So it's only through the Most High, his grace and mercies, through Hamashiach Yahweh, that our sins are blotted out. He wasn't talking about the laws as being blotted out. It's talking about the transgressions, our sins, were being blotted out through the sacrifice of Christ. It's not talking about that the laws that was against us, that's being taken out the way, right? So now let's get to the law. Since we, want to establish a foundation, why is this even being mentioned? You got to remember, at this time, there was no Old Testament. There was no New Testament. They were reading from what? The Old. So all lessons of understanding was coming through these particular aspects of the law, right? So Leviticus 23, reading verse 37, it says, "These are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day." So what were they talking about in verse 16? When it says, "Let no man therefore judge you in meat or drink, or in respect of an holy day, or in the new moon, or on the Sabbath day," they were talking about the sacrifices that were needed to be made on each holy day. The sin offerings that were being brought forth on the Sabbath days. Remember, the temple was still erect. The temple was still up, right? The Pharisees were telling everybody sacrifices were still necessary for the forgiveness of sins. If you didn't bring them, you was out of line, you was in transgression, you was worthy of judgment, so forth and so on. Paul was letting the new conversions, or the new converts, or the newly awakened Gentiles of Israel and Colossae, don't worry about that. Yahweh paid the debt. You don't have to bring sin offerings and sacrifices anymore, right? Because the law says that everything we had to do, we had to bring meat offerings, drink offerings, sacrifice offerings, so forth and so on. He was acknowledging, don't worry about it. We don't have to do that, right? Let's get another scripture regarding the ordinances of the sacrifices. Ezekiel 45, reading verse 17. Why is it said not anyone it wasn't about your personal consumptions of drinks and how you what holy days you decide to keep and what meat you can. No, it wasn't talking about your personal consumptions of what you wanted to eat. It was talking about the sacrificial offerings that was being made on these holy days. Paul was acknowledging and saying these sacrificial offerings that were once being made for forgiveness of sins and for the ordinances of these holy days, you did not need to do them due to Christ blotting out the sins and the transgressions through his sacrifice. Ezekiel 45:17 says, "And it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings and a meat offerings and drink offerings," right? "In the feasts and in the new moons and in the Sabbaths and the solemnities of the house of Israel. He shall prepare the sin offering." Hello? "And the meat offering and the burnt offering and the peace offerings to make reconciliation for the house of Israel." So these were the offerings that were being discussed in Colossians. There was worry within the church of Colossae whether or not these things needed to be done for forgiveness of sins and for salvation. Paul was addressing that, saying, no, don't worry about it. Why? Hebrews chapter 10, verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect. Exactly. So there was not a turtle dove, not a bullock, not a sheep that could be offered that could equate to the sacrifice of the unblemished lamb, our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus the Christ. Right? Continuing on, it says, for then would they not have ceased to be offered? Because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. But in those years, there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. So it says, now, if these sacrificial animal offerings were making everybody perfect, shouldn't they have stopped being offered? Because everybody would be perfect, right? There would be no need for them anymore. It says, because that the worshipers once purged should have no more conscience of sin. So once you gave that bullock, you gave that goat, you gave that turtle dove, whatever, right? Your conscience is supposed to be clear of sin. You're not supposed to even be having the next offering because you were perfect now. But no, it says, but in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins. Verse 5, wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. So Yahushua is the sacrifice that was being made. And it superseded any offerings made via animal. Okay, let's look at Acts the 24th chapter, because some people would think that, Paul was trying to get rid of the law. He was acknowledging his own will, whatever the case may be. No, Paul was a keeper of the law. He said that he was raised as a Pharisee of the strictest sect, right? Circumcised the 8th day, the whole nine. A zealot. He didn't cast that away and say, well, I don't need the law no more. No, he still maintained the law. Let's look at this. Acts 24:9. And the Jews also assented, saying that these things were so. Then Paul, after that the governor had beckoned unto him to speak, answered, for as much as I know that thou hast been of many years a judge unto this nation, I do the more cheerfully answer for myself, because that thou mayest understand that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem for the worship. For they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, neither raising up the people, neither in the synagogues, nor in the city. Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. So this was Paul defending himself against Agrippa, or to Agrippa, in defense of the Jews coming against him. Verse 14, it says, but this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the power of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets. Did you hear that? He said he worships the power of his father, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he says he believes all the things that are written in the law and in the prophets. So when you're reading in Colossians 2, he's not telling anybody to dismiss the law in regards to being able to eat whatever you want, not disregarding the Sabbath, disregarding the holy days, disregarding the new moons. He is not straying away from that. What he is acknowledging is that the sacrificial sin offerings via the prophecies of Yahushua are no longer needed at that point. So he says, I go by what the prophets say. I go by what the law says. I fully believe it. Continuing on, it says, and have hope toward the Most High, which they themselves also allow, that there should be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and unjust. And herein do I exercise, Salaki, I only wanted to 14, right? So he says he believes all things according to the law. All right. So that means that if he advises to follow us along in the prophets, well, what's going on in the prophets? Isaiah 66. In the kingdom, it says, for as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith Yahweh. So shall your seed and your name remain. So there will be no end to Israel. And it says, so yeah, your seed. So people are wondering about, oh, will Israel be done away with? Is there a replacement theology that the church now has replaced Israel? No, it says that there is going to be a seed and a name that remains under the new heavens and the new earth, i.e. the kingdom. This is future prophecy. The seed of Israel will remain. We will be there. And the name was going to remain. There is no spiritual Israel. There is no, oh, your ethnicity doesn't matter. Somebody's seed is going to be there. Apparently, we're talking about the children of Israel. Let me stay on track because I was getting ready to go somewhere else. But let's continue on. So dropping down. Verse 23, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh. So the new moons and the Sabbaths are still going to be in effect in the kingdom. Verse 24, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. There'll be judgments for those who do not abide by the laws of the Most High. We see that there's going to be 2/3 of our people going to be destroyed. It says they're going to be burning. The offerings are still going to be being made during the kingdom. So Paul is not telling anybody that elements of sacrifice are going to be done away with. He's simply talking about sacrifices for sin. Zechariah 14, we're going to read 16 down to 19. It says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Most High Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So the nations and the heathens that are spared from ultimate judgment, that are brought into captivity, that are brought in to serve the children of Israel, they are going to be obligated to bring up their sacrifices as well and keep the feast. Continuing on, it says, and it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Most High Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So they will have a cursing upon their land if they don't bring up these particular sacrifices. Continuing on, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherein Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So is it going to be kumbaya? Is it going to be peace? No violence, no nothing. No, the scriptures say that the Most High will smite the heathen if they don't come and keep these feast days, and they don't offer bring their meat, drink, and meat, drink, and well, those are the main ones. I mean, there's a number of different oblations that be given up, Thanksgiving offerings, so forth and so on. But according to the ordinances of the tabernacle offerings, which we read in Leviticus 23:37, they had to bring those. Verse 19, this shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that come up, that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So we see the sacrifice is going to be happening in the kingdom. It's not going to be done away with, but we won't be offering for sin anymore. The nations will. They'll need to be bringing their offerings up. If they don't and they neglect, they're going to face judgment and death. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13. Deuteronomy 13. Let's start at verse. Let's look at verse 6. It says, "If thy brother and thy son, if thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or thy wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto you, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth, even unto the end of the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shalt thou eye pity him, neither shalt thou eye spare him, neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. See, this is the judgment that we'll be going back to if the heathen try to get back into worshiping Baal and worshiping Beelzebub and worshiping Satan and worshiping the so-called white man and money and so forth and so on, and trying to incite insurrection in the kingdom. They will be getting put to death. Hands will be laid on them. That's why the Most High said He's going to smite the heathen that doesn't abide by the laws and the sacrifices that are uh, obligatory, as they say, in those times, right? Let's look real quick at a couple other little fundamentals regarding the law and these sacrifices. So Leviticus 2, 1 down to 3. This is the ordinances of sacrifices and what offerings are to be made. And when any will offer a meat offering unto Yahweh, his offering shall be a fine flour. He shall pour oil upon it and put frankincense thereon. And he shall bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests, and he shall take thereout his handful of the flour thereof and of the oil thereof with all the frankincense thereof. And the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar to be made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. So we're seeing here that there's going to be meat offerings that are required when there are sacrifices being made. All right, let me get one more Leviticus 18, Leviticus 8, just to kind of show how these offerings were being made when you're going back into Colossians 2:16. It wasn't talking about eating whatever you want to eat. Leviticus chapter 8, reading verse 14. And he brought the bullock for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the bullock for the sin offering. And he slew it, and Moses took the blood and put it upon the horns of the altar round about with his finger, and purified the altar, and poured the blood at the bottom of the altar, and sanctified it to make reconciliation upon it. So this was the ordinance of how the sin offerings were being done. But as we've seen earlier, there was no need for these particular offerings any longer once Mashiach Yahushai came into effect, right? So with that, hopefully that's a quick little Blade Runner series on Colossians 2:13 down to 17.